All right, guys, welcome back to the shop. Appreciate y'all coming back. We wow, that death wobble video, did y'all see that? Did y'all see this machine with that bad front tire? But while I have it here, I'm going to go ahead and take care of a couple other things. I'm going to do an oil change on this one. We're going to flush all the coolant out of it. And while it's here, I want to go ahead and pull the rear wheel here. It's got two broken wheel studs. In the process of tracking down that death wobble, we pulled the back wheels off here. First time they've been off since the owner had it. And we just stripped two of the threads right out. So we're going to go ahead and replace those while we're here. I'm going to pull the hub. We're going to put it in the press. I know a lot of guys, y'all are going to say, I can just whack it with a big hammer and knock them out. And you can do that. And if that's your machine and that's what you want to do, I'm not going to tell you you can't. This is not my machine, and that's not what I'm going to do. We're going to pull the hub off. You're going to see me set it up in the press. We're going to punch out two of these studs, and we're going to put two new studs in it. If you've got steel hubs, I'm pretty much certain you're going to bend them if you whack them with a big hammer. The aluminum studs, maybe not so much, but do you really want to run the risk of breaking a hub and having to find and source another hub and go through all that? Now, I understand if you don't have a press. I get it, but you can still take the hub off. You can still mock it up on a table with some 2x4s, and you can support that hub, and you can drive that stud out that way. But at least take it off the machine. Don't be whacking it on the machine and run the risk of fracturing an ear off of these hubs. These hubs are pretty lightweight, and that makes them a little on the flimsy side when you're hitting them with a 10-pound hammer. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, you do it your way, you do you, but you be careful. It's really take you longer to set this process up than actually do it. Alright, so two other services we're going to do while we have this R here in the shop. We're going to do an oil change, and we're going to do a coolant change, and both of those processes can really be taken care of if you're on the right side of the machine. If you saw the 350X oil change, you can see how quickly a minor job can turn into a major job. I don't think we're going to have a problem here. But yeah, always be careful about that kind of stuff, guys. Don't use an impact. So on a 250R, if you're not sure, the oil is actually in the transmission. It really doesn't get up around the combustion chamber. So what we're really changing is, in essence, you can say it's the transmission fluid. But it is the only oil in the machine, and it says oil check right here. And so that's what I wanted to show you. So if you can find one of these, grab it. And to check oil level is a 10mm bolt right here. It looks like a screw. You can use a screwdriver, a JIS screwdriver. I would prefer to use a wrench. And as you see, we've got fluid coming out, and it looks pretty gray. That's weird. Let's capture this. That's okay, guys. Like I said, you never know where these you never know where these little jobs, these little simple jobs, can become much bigger jobs. Let me get a container to catch this. We need to save this. I pulled a check on this, and I advise anybody that's doing work for anybody else to always check what you're working with before you actually do the job. I pulled this fill out, and it's gray, and I don't know that I've ever seen gray transmission fluid, gray oil for that matter. It smells like oil. I don't really smell any gas in it, but I'm going to capture some of it here in this little bottle, just to kind of take a sample. I know it's not scientific, but it's what I got to work with. there's already oil in this jug, so it's going to get mixed and contaminated in there. You're going to need a 17 millimeter on this machine, unlike the 350X. That takes an Allen key. This takes a traditional 17 millimeter. It's right here, kind of in the back. Pretty level for draining purposes. I've got my cap, my fill cap off, and let's see if we can just catch some of this once it comes out. I bet I do a better job than this than last time. Oh, I made a mess last time. I kind of want to see how much is in here too. That's the thing, guys, when you buy stuff, wow, look at that, see how gray that is? When you buy stuff online, you don't know the previous owner. You don't know how it was treated. You don't know what fluids were put in it. What kind of fluids were put in it. Was there any fluids put in it? Yeah, I think that's enough sample, but I don't think it holds more than about a quart. So this should be 16 ounces here. Maybe 24, I'll have to check and see. I think that's enough of a sample. Have y'all ever seen anything that gray before? That's not black, that is gray. That is very, 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 very gray. I've got a magnet, I wonder. Make sure it's good and clean before we start. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a good thing, you know, a magnet to catch everything. But if it's aluminum, if it's the case that's in this one, we can take it out riding, but we're not going to have any issues. You know, you're a mile or two from the truck. You don't want to, not a good time to find out that you overlooked something, you know, in your maintenance. So let me grab some oil here. We're going to go ahead and let that continue to drain. We're in no hurry today. Got the whole day to kind of play around. So while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drain the coolant as well. I don't see any problems with putting it in this bucket. So it requires a 10 millimeter bolt. It's right here at the water pump. It's really a convenient place to drain, and of course it's going to try to come out pretty fast. I have the cap still on right now, and oh, this machine definitely was not put together with an impact gun. All right, it's probably going to pee all over me. Boy, I didn't see that coming. Nothing came out, like 2 drips. It must have a vacuum pulled on it. Let's pull the cap and see what happens. Alright, well, we've got a good cooling system. 2 drops came out of that before I released the cap. I've never seen that much suction on a system. Good coolant. That is not water, that is certainly coolant. So we're going to replace this with coolant, and that really is the bulk of changing the coolant out. There is 2 hoses, there's 2 radiators in this system. We're just really kind of doing a flush and fill here. There's no procedures, there's no filters or anything that we have to worry about. Just want to be sure to get your drain bolt here, copper washer, be sure that's on there. Put it back in here. Remember guys, this whole engine is aluminum. You don't need to bear down on these nuts and bolts too bad. Okay, well let's get some oil and let's put our drain plug back in. There is no cartridge filter on the 250R like the 350X. It's pretty straightforward. I think it holds just a quart of coolant. Always start your drain plug, run it in by hand tight, just finger tight first. That way you know it's not cross-threaded. You get one shot at this. I'd love to get a, it'd have been nice to have one of these new. Just have that history, you know, for service history from new. You know every nut, every bolt is tight and not over tight, and it's never been over revved or anything like that. That'd be kind of cool. But the best we can do is get them, service them ourselves. We know it's done right. You know, dealers don't do this kind of work anymore. They're scared to touch them, and I understand. There's always concern when you're working on something, but you know, that's their job. They're dealers. You know, small engines mechanic, that's their job, not mine. I do this for fun, I think. All right, so now we've got our GN4 4-stroke oil here. I know what you're saying, that's 4-stroke. What are you doing? Well, I'll go ahead and explain it in this video too. The owner of this machine brought it to me and told me to use it. And we looked it over, and it says right here, it says, Pro Honda GN4 is approved for use as engine oil in all Honda 4-stroke motorcycles. You saw me put this in the 350X. ATVs, scooters, watercrafts, MUVs, and as gearbox transmission lubricant for all Honda 2-stroke motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. So there you go. If anybody wants to call me out, I did my due diligence. I read the instructions, y'all. And before I agreed to do it, we read it, and sure enough, it said transmissions in 2-stroke Hondas. So we are spot on. I'm gonna put a little towel here just to kind of catch this. This will overflow. I just don't want to make a mess and have to clean it up later. I think this machine's only going to hold a quart. We've got our drain plug put back in. Really no crazy surprises on this one. Really, y'all, an oil change is literally a 5 or 10 minute job. It doesn't take that long. You can do it on your way to the track or the woods or wherever you're going. Do it the night before is kind of how I like to do that kind of stuff. Just kind of gets me excited for the trip, you know. Any last minute maintenance. All right, I'm gonna let it flush out a little bit. Let that come on out. Now I've got the trike up on jack stands. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cap this off. Then I'm gonna set the machine down on the ground. And we'll recheck our fill level. I don't want to overfill it, but I don't want to underfill it either. All right. All right, I'm going to pull the inspection bolt here, if you will. How many of y'all have seen chrome foot pegs and shifters? Excuse me. Foot pegs and brake pedals. How many of y'all seen those before? Let's see how much oil we got here. Now, if this thing just pours out like a lot, you can always wait and let it level out. And that's what I thought. We're gonna need a little bit more. It's dripping, but just barely. There it is. All right. Again, don't use an impact. Run these in by hand, and then you can just snug them up. I don't know what kind of oil was in this thing before. I really don't. 10 millimeter, standard rotation, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Just snug, not crazy. Now this bottom skid plate down here will catch fluids. If you have one of these, you know they'll catch water and mud and snow and dirt and everything else. But they'll also catch oil. And so if you come back out in an hour and you've got a little drip underneath your machine, don't be surprised if that oil has not caught on your skid plate and then came off. All right, that's it. That's an oil change on a 1985. It'd be the same as an 86 Honda 250R. I'm going to go ahead and put hands on here, make sure my drain plug for my coolant reservoir is tight, and it is. Again, just OCD, make sure everything is snug. Okay, everything's good. All right, I'm going to run to the store and get some coolant. I do not have any coolant, but I'm going to go get some coolant. We're going to top this off. I think it holds about a half a gallon. That's all it holds. So that's pretty much it. I think we that we're going to kind of break this up into two different things. I don't know what this is. It's concerning. It's I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to go put it in the sunlight, see what we can see. Probably not helping you out. I don't see anything. Of course, it's coated the bucket now. That's weird. Okay. Not going to make any predictions at this point. I'm not sure what this is. I'm going to do some research. It's possible that there is a gray transmission fluid out there on the market that's maybe specifically two-stroke or maybe specifically motocross, ATV or something like that. You just don't want to jump to conclusions just because something's gray. Gray is kind of one of those colors that we shy away from. We get nervous when we see it. Gray a lot of times mean metal in your oil, but that also comes with sparkles. There were no sparkles in that. There were no flakes. There was no bits, no pieces. A thud when you drain one is bad too. A piece of a gear tooth is bad. A synchronizer arm is bad. That's really bad. But I don't think this machine has any of those problems. I just don't understand why that transmission fluid is gray. So I'll do some research, on the interwebs there, and look into that. But that's it, 1985 Honda 250R ATC. Just, it didn't get no better than that. That's all there is to it. I'm grateful to have worked on it. That's a beautiful machine. And it's tight and it's crisp and it runs good and it rides good. And it's just funny that tire was the Achilles heel. It caused all those problems, all those drivability problems. All right, just like that. I mean, I kid you not, it takes longer to get the press out than it does to press some wheel studs in. Sorry, telephone. It's pretty simple, and like I said, if you don't have a press, that's okay. Take the hub off the machine, support it with some blocks of wood would be ideal. The wood is not going to slip. It's going to support it a lot better than a brick or something like that. Drive that stud through there, flip it over, drive your new stud in. Be sure that the splines on the stud line up with the splines in the hub, and then you can just slide it right in there and it'll fit, you know, just like your fingers. But that's it, 1985. Check that out. Is that not just probably the prettiest thing you've ever seen? This one's got an FMF pipe on it. Somebody did a good job. It's been put back together. It's not a survivor per se. It's all aftermarket plastics. I think these are OE, and I believe the tank is OE, just looking at it. But you've got aftermarket front and rear. A little personalization. Got some ODI grips on it. Tires, you know, somebody's been riding it. Somebody's been enjoying it. And that's really a great level or target to shoot for. If you want to get into these old three-wheelers, find one up and fix it up to a point where you can still enjoy it. When you start replating everything and new old stock, all the parts, you end up with something that you really would feel bad if you got dirty or wrecked or broke a fender or something like that. Now, there's a place for all of it. You know, we all have, you know, what our own personal goals are. As you know, my goal here is to get these machines up and riding and dependable. And then as I see fit, you know, financially or just, you know, want to, as parts come up, I improve the machines. The longer I keep them, the better they get. So if I end up finding, you know, new fenders or new exhaust for one of them, you know, and it's better than what I have, it's an opportunity to trade up. But the whole time I have the machine, I can enjoy it, I can ride it, and I don't feel bad. It's in case, you know, something happens. If I slip or something like that and crack a fender, I'm not going to be, you know, completely heartbroken over it. But what an amazing machine. This is my buddy's machine. You're probably going to see a lot more of it on the channel. It and his 350X. We're going to be heading out soon on a ride together. I don't know what he's going to take. It's like hunting and picking the right machine, you know, is like picking the right gun to go hunting with. But yeah, that's a machine right there now. That is a hoss, and it runs as good as it looks too. Whew. Just funny though that front tire was the Achilles heel on this thing. As always, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for some shorts. I'm dropping a lot more shorts. YouTube is kind of promoting the shorts videos. I'm not sure how I fit into that, but I'm going to try it for a little bit and hopefully help the channel grow. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. You have a great evening. We'll see you in a couple of days.